Yo, what's going on out there in the land of YouTube? What's going on, YouTubies? I'm just YouTubing. I don't think that YouTube sends out notifications for my lives anymore. If you haven't got a notification, it's because YouTube doesn't send out notifications for you anymore. So if you would do me a favor right now, just hit the like button. Take your finger right here and just hit the like button. Just take your finger and just almost like you're like showing a silhouette in the light. Slide your finger down and then just tap the like button. It's funny because I finally got a chance to look through all the t-shirts that got in. I just got all these t-shirts in, and I saw Mr. Waldo Baldo. I saw that I actually ordered women's t-shirts. I didn't know that I had women's t-shirts. I thought that I had audit them. What's up? How's your how are the things going over there? I got V-neck women t-shirts, and I didn't know that. So I'm going to get a count of these tonight, and I'm going to put them on my website. And I talked to my webmaster, and he said that I could put the exact amount of t-shirts that I have on my website, so that if I sell out, then I don't get stuck owing somebody a t-shirt. Bronco Nation family, what is going on? Has everybody hit the like button? Take your finger and hit the like button. It'll just take you a second. I'm going to blow V8 here for the next like 5 minutes. So I will announce the timestamp at which we're going to get into the Mollen Commission, part 2. So yesterday, I believe that we ended on page 7. What is going on? Press with Rancor. What is going on? Is that Klaus Barbie? The Tribe? Kyle, what is going on? How are you, Kyle? Good to see everybody. What is going on? Everybody, can you drop in the comment section OTVO, overturn Terry versus Ohio? And then Brian Paulin said he wants a t-shirt. Brian, you got to shoot me an email, deletelawz@gmail.com. Right now, until I get these on my website, I'm just going to sell them through PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. But I have the t-shirts in, and I guess I got a bunch of them. I guess I got women's t-shirts. I didn't know that I ordered V-neck women t-shirts, but I sure did. And this office is a mess. I've got to get it cleaned up. Let me see if I can see some of the comments on YouTube. What's going on out there in the land of YouTube? So let's take this bad chicken right here and plug this phone in because I don't want my phone to die. So we're going to go from page 7 of the Mollen Commission, and we're going to finish. We're going to read the entire Mollen Commission. If you guys are unfamiliar, the Mollen Commission is a 3-year study on New York City Police Department, commissioned to investigate allegations of police corruption and anti-corruption procedures of the police department, which, as you know, every single police department is a microcosm of all of them. What one police department does, you can almost guarantee that other police... Oh. There we go. So, Delete Lawz clips. What's going on, Delete Lawz clips? I'm not sure if you guys know or not, but Colin Campbell is over there at Delete Lawz clips. He's pushing the keys over there. And so I think that we should because I only want to spend an hour a day on this. And yesterday I was on for an hour and 20 minutes. And so I want to get right into this as quickly as I possibly can. I got a XXX, Kyle. I got one. I think I got one. I'm going to put all these on a rack and show the t-shirts that I got in stock so that people can get them, because I purchased them so that people would buy them from me. So you would wear Delete Lawz on your chest or on your back. And on the back of it, it says overturn Terry versus Ohio. There it is. Yep. So that's and this t-shirt right here is brand new. I just pulled it out of the box. Noel, what is going on? I can't stand the tag on the back, but if you take a look at this is the t-shirts that I buy are always top of the line. This is a tri-blend. So this is 50% polyester, 37% cotton, and 13% rayon. So I don't want to sell anything to anybody that's not, man, look how long those nails are. Are you kidding me? Like, what is up? I have not been on the mat. I got to get back on the mat here to try to clear this up. Okay, let's get right into it. Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a 5x5 if you can hear me okay. Shalom, my friend. How are you? Good to see you. Scott, you got to email me. Email me deletelawz@gmail.com. I'll reply to you, and then I can fill your order. When I put them on my website, what happens is we run out of t-shirts, and then people order, and then they don't get their t-shirt. And it's always like 3 or 4 people when all the t-shirts are gone who didn't get their order. And then I just feel terrible. And if I've taken somebody's money and they didn't get a t-shirt, I feel even worse. And then I told them, oh, wait, they're going to come in stock. But then I'm terrible at them. So it takes 2 months or 3 months. And so I just prefer just to sell them just directly to people who email me, deletelawz@gmail.com, and then PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. And then I'll put it. I got the mailers right here. I got the mailer. I mean, I didn't buy these t-shirts, so I would wear 400 t-shirts. Here's the mailer. I'll put the t-shirt right here, and I'll send it out to you. What is going on? What is going on? Cool. So because YouTube doesn't send out the notifications, I mean, typically, 300-400 people come in here. And so sometimes 200, but there's usually 200 to 400 people in each one of these lives. And so I learned this by reading. Don't tell anybody, but I actually learned something by reading. I learned that you're supposed to start your live and spend the first few minutes kind of just talking out loud. Alan Hubb is in the room. Alan, I know I got to give you a phone call back. Alan Hubb is dealing with legal costs over there in North Carolina. And in North Carolina, they've been cheating people in North Carolina. One day, Alan, what I'll do is I'll just cover all the news clips that show how the cops are cheating people using radar guns. In Charlotte, North Carolina, it's the biggest scam. Mikey, what is going on? It's the biggest scam ever. Chosen is here. What is going on, Chosen? Good to see you. Good to see you. John, how are you? Brian Paulin, nice to see you. I love Yahweh is here. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Scott Melvin. Okay, so let's take a look at the Mollen, and we left. If you guys didn't watch yesterday's, I said I would announce at 7 minutes, and I'll make sure that I put a note of this in the description of this. We're going to start the reading of the Mollen Commission at 7 minutes in to this live stream, so that if you want to skip the hi, hello, how are you, and get right into the Mollen Commission, then you can do that without having to watch this nonsense poopy pants in the beginning. So let me see what you guys see on StreamYard. Okay, that's what you see. No real reason to, okay, cool. So this was page 1 of, now the Mollen Commission is to investigate allegations of police corruption in New York City. And this came out in 1994. Milton Mollen is a federal judge, was a federal judge. And then I think Harold Baer was also a federal judge. And this was going to come out July 7th of 1994. Yesterday, we covered the anatomy of a failure, and it showed I think we're on page 6. We read the preface, and then we read the table of contents, which is just gold here. The department flawed investigative and intelligence gathering efforts. We read all through the table of contents. And then we got up to, we read through this where the cops feel bad. It literally says in here that the cops feel bad about not turning in the bad cops, not arresting the bad cops. And it was here. An even more basis for our sense of optimism is the essential values of hundreds of honest officers, all ranks were interviewed past months. While they may be reluctant to turn in fellow officers, they silently hope that such officers are removed. So they feel real bad. Just so. And then here's page 6. And then I believe that I highlighted page 7, and that was the last page we went over. And then I just want to remind everybody that the last thing that we read on page 6 was external independent oversight, which never happened, will help ensure that these reforms efforts succeed. They never succeeded. Ultimately, however, it's the department's own officers, supervisors, and commanders who will determine whether the battle is won or lost, and it's lost. They will not police their own. The system is broken. It will not work. Which a cultural intolerance of corruption transformed into one that drives it out. That is not happening, and it's never happened. Therefore, it is imperative that both of these elements are present to devise effective reforms. No reforms have ever been implemented. The only thing that's changed policing is that they're caught on camera violating us. That's the only thing. And we've seen that a Terry stop is a POW style of arrest, as though you are a prisoner of war. So to reach its conclusion and recommendation of this report, the commission sought a wide range of resources. We reviewed thousands of document cases and interviewed a number of corrupt officers. So they interviewed a number of corrupt officers, but they didn't fire or charge any. I want you to know that. I've read this. No police. We interviewed a number of corrupt officers. It says right here, 0 were charged, 0 were fired, who agreed to cooperate with the commission for immunity, not because they're good people. Conducted hundreds of private hearings and interviews of former and current police officers of all ranks, audited, investigated, and conducted performance tests of the principal components of the department's anti-corruption systems, conducted unannounced on-site systems inspections, conducted an anonymous survey of internal affairs investigations with the assistance of an internal affairs insider. So in other words, someone who could walk them through and not get the real dirt, analyzed hundreds of investigative and personal files, interviewed private citizens, criminal defense attorneys, alleged victims of corruption, and criminal informants, conducted extensive literature review on police corruption and prevention, and held a series of roundtable discussions and other meetings with a variety of policemen. So you're just talking to more cops. You're talking to the cops who are giving you information about the cops, and the cops are going to police themselves, and they don't. It's all drizzle and bullshit. With a variety of other police management and corruption experts who are cops, and local and federal law enforcement officials who are cops, prosecutors who the cops work for them to bring them their cases, former and current police chiefs, and the former police chiefs before there were cameras were more corrupt than these pigs, and current police chiefs have to protect their own. They back the blue. They lie, cheat, steal, rape, and kill. And commissioners who are on the take that are buying rehabs. Inspector generals who they are professional police who are literally teach the cops to make sure that they look the other way when they have a body camera on. Academics and police union officials. Police union officials are there to back the blue, to protect the cops. We also undertook a number of special projects and conducted a series of private hearings on various critical aspects of corruption control, including internal affairs, operations, and performance, recruitment and screening, and command accountability, integrity control officers, police perjury and falsifications, as well as an empirical study on the connection between brutality and corruption, which I could teach classes on this based on what's in this particular document. The commission also initiated a number of its own field investigations in various precincts in the city, sometimes in conjunction with local and federal prosecutors, targeting areas where our analysis suggested police corruption existed, where our analysis suggested, or someone called you and said the cops just forced me to pay them, and if I don't pay them, they'll ruin my business. We were aided in all of our efforts by former and current members of the department who are cops of all rankings who came forward to offer their assistance to misguide them and insights about the state of corruption and corruption controls in the department. From September of 27 through October 7th of 1993, the commission held 2 weeks of public hearings to present the information we had uncovered in 3 primary areas of our mandate. Forgive me, it's a little bit too big. There it is. It was these investigation, audits, and analyses that led to the conclusion presented in this report. We believe that our findings and recommendations will strengthen the department's ability and desire to fight corruption, not only today, but in the future. Lies. None of that happened. It's a lie. It's an absolute, total, complete, fabricated lie. We are not so naive as to believe that corruption can ever be completely eliminated among police officers or in any other profession. Any occupation comprising large numbers will have some corruption. More than other professions, however, the police face seductive opportunities to turn corrupt. Today, many neighborhoods of New York City are awash with drugs, money, and guns, and our police are on the front lines. No, they're not. No, they're not. I'm gonna say something in a second, okay? Potential for the misuse of power and strong temptations challenge many of our police officers to abandon their oaths every day, given such circumstances in a police department whose numbers will soon exceed 31,000. Some corruption is inevitable, but the tolerance for corruption is not, nor can it ever be acceptable. Okay, so right here, I want you to read this, and this is such a bag of shit, okay? More than any other profession, they face seductive opportunities. Here it is. Today, many neighborhoods of New York City are awash with drugs, monies, and guns, and our police are on the front lines. Wrong. The police are the drug dealers. The police are the pimps. The police are the muscle for the drug dealers. The police are the muscle for the pimps. The police are running the gambling institutions. They're running all of the illegal drugs. The police are the head of every single narcotic drug ring in America. Cops are at the head of those drug rings. This is the Mollen Commission. We skipped the Wickersham and we skipped the Knapp. And in those commissions, which we will read aloud because I'm so sick of people saying, oh, we need to respect cops. No, we don't. We need to get rid of cops. You need to get rid of the term law enforcement in America. We don't want it. We don't need it. This is bullshit. This is a lie. This is a total lie. The police are not on the front lines. The police are the drug dealers. The police are the pimp. The police are the head of that crime ring breaking into warehouses. There's a cop involved in that. You learn that when you read all of the police commissions. And it's been this way since police were created in 1704 with the South Carolina slave catchers. Nothing has changed. It's only gotten worse. It's gotten worse by far. And they're pointing out here in this commission how they keep on cop sucking. They got that cop stick all the way in their mouth. They're cheeking it. They're sucking it. They're gnawing on it. They're getting the goo all over their face and they're rubbing it in. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. The cops are the drug dealers. The police are not on the front line. They're dealing the drugs. I want to be clear. It will say later in this commission that the cops are the drug dealers. But here they say how the cops are on the front lines against all these things and the temptation is seductive. No, it's not. There's no third party policing police. How do you say it? It's a Latin term. Let me get it proper. I'm going to say it properly. Quis custodiet hippos custodies. And what that means is who will watch the watchers? Who will watch themselves? So it's quis custodiet hippos custodes. And what that says is who will watch the watchers. And we don't have anybody watching the watchers. So this commission, it's a cop sucking commission. They're cop sucking all the way. In this exact commission, they say that cops are the drug dealers, that cops are the pimps, that cops are the head of the gambling rings, that cops are the head of prostitution rings, that cops are the head of organized crime. They say it abundantly clear in this exact commission. So what's being said right here is a way for the people to continue to have faith in cops. And that's why they say, people come onto my channel and say, look at Delete Lawz. He's a great big meanie. He's so mean to the pigs. Today, many neighborhoods of the New York City are awash with drugs, money, and guns. And our police are on the front lines. Our police, they're not our police. They're a part of their own gang. They are not our police. Potential for the misuse of power and strong temptations challenge many of our police officers to abandon their oaths every day, given such circumstances in police department whose numbers will soon reach 31,000. Well, what adds to this? If there's a potential for misuse and temptations for challenging our police officers to abandon their oath, doesn't that tie into right here? Doesn't that tie into what's here? Is that the cops feel real bad. Only a truly independent body working with the department, but beyond the police department's control, can sustain this commitment and make the fear of failed corruption controls more powerful than the fear of corruption disclosure. So if you really read the Mollen, like I'm doing for you now, you see that the Mollen Commission continually contradicts itself. If the good cops feel real bad about the bad cops, but they don't turn them in, and the temptation to abandon their oath and go to dealing drugs, pimping, gambling, organized crime, and the good cops won't turn in the bad cops, even though the temptation is so high, then the entire system is corrupt and rotten to the core. And so now when you see me and I'm dressing down a pig, well, that good pig isn't going to turn in the bad pigs. I talked to a pig the other night and he said how good he was. And I said, how many police have you arrested? He said 0. Well, then you're not a very good pig, are you? Or you're a great pig. You're just not a very good peace officer. So I'm reading this to you so that you guys can understand the reason why I have 0 respect for you filthy fucking pigs. You're a stain on our culture. You'll go down in history as a Nazi. You are a piece of shit. I told that pig the other day, you want to see it? 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 I'll show you. Want to see it? I'll show it to you. I told her she is exactly like every other pig that there is. Let me show it to you. I don't mean to get off track here. I just want you guys. So I'm going to show you this. And the reason I'm going to show it to you is because I want you to understand that I already know. I'm already well aware. I walk up to these pigs and I disrespect them because they're not worthy of being respected. I'm not mean to pigs because I just don't like cops. I'm mean to pigs because I've read the 4 commissions that I'm reading to you now. And now you're starting to see the good cops feel real bad about not turning in the bad cops. They feel real bad, though. They feel terrible inside. They go home and they really wish that they'd be taken off the street. And so what I walk up and tell them is you're the same filthy pig as the pigs from the Mollen, as the pigs from the Knapp, as the pigs from the Wickersham, and as the pigs from the Seabury Commission. And if you don't like it, get the off my page and go to a cop sucking page. I don't care. I'm not here to win you over, bro. I know what's going on. I'm not here for your acceptance. I'm here to show you the truth. And the truth is rarely pretty. Rarely pretty. So this video hasn't even come out yet, but I want you guys to see that I'm well aware of the pig situation we have in America.
My investigation, all right?
Did you address me?
Yes, I did. I said you can record all you want. The moment you come over here, you'll be obstructing my investigation, and I'll put you under arrest and you'll go to jail, all right?
You could do that, but then I would sue you again. I just sued you guys for $5 million. I'll sue you for $5 million more if you touch me. I can walk anywhere I want, anywhere all around here, and if you touch me, I'll sue you. You'll be listed in the federal civil rights lawsuit, dunce cap. I'm a constitutional law scholar. I'm not just some regular person here. I'll sue your ass until oblivion. Well, he shouldn't have addressed me. Was I being respectful? Was I being respectful? I didn't say a word. If you hadn't addressed me like a dunce cap, you wouldn't be put in check right now, son. You might want to sit back. Pigtail, you getting some good looking pigtails in here.
All right, so
You are, dude. You chicks, the chicks on LVMPD. No offense. Don't take it the wrong way. You're hiring some good looking women on LVMPD, huh?
So do you still want to have a conversation?
Do you feel disrespected because I think you're good looking? Is it sexist to notice that a woman is good looking?
Right.
You don't face me at all.
Really?
Extremely bored, obviously.
I am? Watch my channel, honey. What it boils down to is you get poison pills like this one who says you can't affect me.
Okay.
What do you mean? If I can't affect her, then she's inhumane.
Well, from her perspective,
I mean, she's going to be cold and icy and horrible. It's like, what are you talking about?
so maybe
We can't
from her
reach each other?
perspective- So maybe from her
I can't even affect her, she told me.
Okay.
Really?
Right.
You can affect me, honey.
Alright.
Because you're a cop and you can ruin my fucking life. But she says I can't affect her. Honey, you go home and you sleep like crap. Because what you do to people is terrible. It's horrible what you're a part of. This organization sucks.
Yeah.
This organization is dog crap. Honey, you put your knees on people's back, you lie on reports, you're the typical pig. So you know, when you know that cops are lying scumbags and you've read the 4 commissions that I've read, you're not going to have any respect for cops. Zero. Because you'll know what I do. That there's a blue wall of silence, that they lie, cheat, steal, rape, and kill, that they set people up, that they target individual people, that they target store owners, they target business owners, they literally shake them down for money. And this is all police. This is not some police, because the good cops won't turn in the bad cops. So who's the good ones? Who's the fucking good ones? Who are they? I feel real bad that some guy's smashing bums outside. I feel real bad about that. I got the power and the strength to stop him, but I'm not going to do that. I feel really bad about it. I really wish it would stop. I've got the power to end it, but I can't do that. I don't want people to think I'm a rat. You wonder why I hate them. You got all the information you need to know right now. Now you got all the information that you need to know why I think they're absolute scum. Only a truly independent body. We also undertook a number of special projects and conducted a series of private hearings on various critical spaces of corruption control, including internal affairs operations and performance, which now you know why I call internal affairs a joke. Recruitment, screening, training, supervisions, and command accountability, integrity control officers, police perjury and falsifications. The commission also, I already read that one. Okay, this is where I was before I got distracted. Okay, so too many neighborhoods of police are awash with drugs, money, and the police are on the front lines. No. The police are the drug dealers. The police are the pimps. Okay, so that's where I was. The last line I had read is I believe that this is 94. I think the NYPD now is over 50,000 or 60,000 cops. So our mandate was limited solely to the police. So what they're saying here is we're not getting the DAs who covered for the cops. We're not getting the commissioners who covered for the pigs. We're not getting the prosecutors and the judges who cheated people for the pigs. We are all too aware that corruption exists in other government agencies and professions like DAs and judges, but there are good reasons for special concern about police. No. Those other agencies empower the police corruption. For most of us, police officers are the law and a symbol of justice. No, shut the front door. Put a 1 in the chat if police officers are not a symbol of justice. Put a 1 in the chat if cops are not a symbol of justice. I'm fired up today. How fucking stupid do you think we are? Police are not a symbol of justice. They are a symbol of oppression, tyranny, rape, murder, prosecution, persecution, and injustice. Cops are not our friends. We don't like them. Most people are like me. They're just afraid to be honest. I think they're fucking pigs. I know they are. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. They are the first guardians of our... Shut the fuck up. We depend on them for our protection. No, we do not. No, you do not. You do not depend on pigs for your protection or your peace of mind when confronted with news of crime and violence each day. As a society, we therefore have given police officers special powers not possessed even by our highest government officials. They have the power to arrest and deprive us of our liberty. The right to bear arms and the right to use any force in carrying out their duties. That's too much right there. You got it right there, isn't it? To use force in carrying out their... No, we don't want it. Every day, we allow police to judge our conduct as citizens, and consequently, we expect their conduct to adhere to the strictest standards. When charges of corruption are leveled at the police, therefore, the public has a right to be alarmed and demand accounting and a solution. It's never happened. What citizens often fail to see is the department's Skip it. No, I'm not reading the cop sucking garbage. Chapter 2, the state of modern policing. Oh, I read this yesterday. The crooks that you've uncovered, and then I read this yesterday. there's a very big, so the crooks, however, that you have uncovered, the criminals seem to be a different breed of criminal than 20 years ago. The guys you're digging up, these guys are walking around with lead-lined gloves and riding shotgun for organized crime. It seems to me they've changed the nature of being a meat eater in the department instead of taking money to look the other way while someone else commits a street crime. They're out there competing with criminals to commit street crimes themselves, and it seems to me that this is a very big difference. Michael Armstrong, Chief Counsel of the Knapp Commission, testifying before the Mollen Commission. The Knapp Commission came out in 1972. The new nature of police corruption, this commission observed, shatters many of the traditional and more comforting notions of police corruption that existed at the time of our investigation began. When former police officer Michael Dowd was arrested in 1992, the department maintained that he was an aberration and that the corruption was limited to a few rogue cops. Police corruption was said to be a matter of isolated and sporadic opportunities rather than planned or organized group efforts. It was said to be motivated solely by greed and nothing more. The commission found that these notions of police corruption were wrong and vastly understated. The serious nature of present-day corruption. Today's corruption is far more criminal, violent, and premeditated than traditional notions of police corruption suggest, and far more invidious than corruption of a generation ago. Testimony and field investigations demonstrated that its most salient forms include groups of officers protecting and assisting drug traffickers for often sizable profit, stealing drugs, guns, and money, and often selling the stolen drugs or guns or through criminal associates, committing burglary and robbery, conducting unlawful searches of apartments, cars, and people, committing perjury and falsifying statements, and sometimes using excessive force, often in connection with corruption. Greed is the primary motive behind these activities, but a complex array of other powerful motives and conditions also spur corruption. How widespread this corruption is in the New York City Police Department is difficult to gauge. With a staff of under 20 investigators and attorneys, it was, of course, impossible to determine the full scope of the problems of the department's 75 precincts and other commands. What we have concluded, however, is that in precincts where certain conditions exist, in particular an active and open narcotics trade and high crime, pockets of corruption are likely to exist in various degrees of seriousness, frequency, and size. The Commission's investigations. The Commission findings are based on the consistent and repeated results of our field investigations, on information from hundreds of sources both in and out of the department, and on extensive analysis of patterns of corruption complaints. While we cannot disclose the full details of certain Commission field operations that are still under investigation, we can disclose that in every high crime precinct with active narcotics trade that the Commission examines, we found some level of corruption to exist. For example, the Commission's investigation into Manhattan's North 30th Precinct, which has thus far resulted in the arrest of 14 police officers, revealed that a significant percentage of the precinct routinely engaged in some form of corruption. It further revealed that numerous other officers were complicit through their silence and protection of these corrupt cops. It further revealed that numerous other officers were complicit through their silence and protection of corrupt cops. Evidence disclosed at the Commission's public hearings in the fall of 1993 suggests that groups of officers engaged in various levels of corruption in other narcotics-ridden precincts, as well as including Manhattan South 9th Precinct and Bronx 46th Precincts, Brooklyn 75th Precinct, and in the 73rd Precinct, where the Commission's joint investigations with state and federal prosecutors has thus far led to the arrest of 7 cops on federal charges since our public hearings. In evaluating the nature and extent of corruption, the Commission sought information from a variety of sources. Our first sources of information came from within the Commission and its staff. Our senior investigators were former police officers with a long and varied experience within the department. They were thoroughly familiar with the operation of the department, its culture, and likely sources of corruption facing other officers today. In addition, like the commissions themselves, most of our staff attorneys and extensive experience in law enforcement and were thoroughly familiar with the operations of the criminal justice system. From the outset, there are collective knowledge and experience From the outset, therefore, our collective knowledge and experience guided the focus of our inquiry into the state of corruption. Initially, we analyzed thousands of department documents and corruption case files pertaining to corruption and reviewed thousands of corruption complaints lodged at Internal Affairs over the past 5 years. At the same time, commission staff members conducted over 100 private hearings or informal interviews with current and former members of the department, including internal affairs officers of all ranks. Scores of interviews were also conducted with cops from a number of other agencies, including the District Attorney's Office of the United States Attorney's Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the DEA, and the IRS. We also interviewed defense attorneys, criminal defendants, private citizens who resided in precincts suspected of corruption, and criminal informants who claimed to have knowledge of police corruption. A number of police officers assigned to internal affairs and other commands who came forward on a confidential basis provided us with invaluable information about corrupt activities. At an early stage of our investigation, we therefore had a fairly clearly picture of the prevalent forms of corruption within the department, much of which involved the drug trade. So let me chime in here for a second here. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was small the whole time. God bless it. I'm so sorry. So you just saw me reading. I'm so sorry. So let me chime in here so you guys can see this here. But the commission, okay. So when you read this right here, let me go back to this. And so I want to point out something that's really important, really important. So at an early stage of our investigations, we therefore had a fairly clear picture of the prevalent forms of corruption within the department, much of which involved the drug trade. So there's something you have to know here. So you heard them say that the temptation of corruption was gigantic and that much of the corruption was focused around the precincts that had the most narcotics cops, because I don't call them officers. And so let me give you a little bit more education that you may not know. So this commission came out July 7th, I believe, of 1994. And then in August of 1994 came Joe Biden's crime bill. And in Joe Biden's crime bill, every single narcotic cop who gets an arrest, that gets more money for the agency, more money for that police department, more money for that precinct. Well, if the good cops aren't turning in the bad cops, and the most corruption is centered around the narcotics precincts where there's the most narcotics officers, well, just 3 months after this commission came out, Joe Biden's crime bill then incentivized individual police precincts to get drug arrests by giving them more money. But the commission's obligation beyond simply compiling information and allegations about corruption, we knew we must produce hard evidence, if any existed, of the extent of the nature of the corruption within the department. This could only be accomplished not only through our field investigations, but also through information and testimony provided by corrupt cops, which none were prosecuted, none were fired. They said they prosecuted some cops. Okay, what happened? What was the end result of that? Throughout our investigations, we therefore sought to find police officers who engaged in corruption, who were willing to talk candidly about their own corruption, about their own corrupt acts and those of their fellow officers. We knew that this would be no easy task. The code of silence was strong and would deter even officers publicly accused or convicted of corruption from talking frankly with us. But we also knew that if a corrupt officer could be persuaded to provide testimony or information about corruption based on personal experience, this would be inestimable. This would be invaluable to the commission. How about that? In the course of our investigation, we obtained the cooperation of such officers, sometimes with the assistance of various cops. We persuaded several corrupt cops to provide information to commission investigators. Because of the constraints and of continuing investigations at this time, we can identify only 6 of them. Former police officer Michael Dowd of the 75th and 94th, former cop Kevin Hemberry, Philip Carlucci, Daniel Euro of the 73rd Precinct, former police officers Bernard Colley of the 46th Precinct, former Detective Jeffrey Beck of the DEA Task Force, and several police officers cooperating in the 30 precincts investigation of these. Dowd, Hemberry, and Colley testified about their careers of corruption at the commission's public hearings. In addition, we secured the cooperation of a number of civilian accomplices and associates of corrupt police officers. These include Mr. X, a widely used law enforcement informant who testified at the commission's public hearings under the pseudonym of corruption he observed among other officers at the 9th Precinct. Armed with fairly substantial knowledge of the likely patterns and locations of police corruption gained from our own analyses of corruption trends and information from reliable sources, the commission staff launched a number of self-initiated field investigations where police corruption was likely to exist. Of course, with limited time and resources, we were unable to examine every precinct in the city or even all of the precincts where we found indications of corruption to exist. We therefore concentrated our efforts on those commands we thought were most likely to produce evidence of corruption. Because evidence gathered from commission field investigation had been turned over to prosecutors, we cannot at this time identify all of the precincts in which we operated or all of the details of our operations. But whenever possible, we employed the full panoply of investigative techniques, including electronic surveillance, undercover agents, informants, and cooperating or turned corrupt cops. Our critical point is that our investigative approach was vastly differed from the department's limited approach to the investigation of police corruption. Listen to it again. One critical point is that our investigation approach vastly differed from the department's limited approach to the investigation of corrupt cops. Instead of focusing simply on the single corrupt cop, we designed our investigation to gain evidence of broad patterns of criminal conduct and conspiratorial wrongdoings. In essence, we approached our investigations as the department would typically approach any investigation of organized and continued criminal activity, except for police corruption. That the department did not apply these basic approaches to their own corruption investigation speaks volumes about its past reluctancy to uncover the full extent of police corruption within our city. Our methods and philosophy in investigating police corruption are best illustrated by our investigation into the 30th Precinct. The commission set out to determine whether precincts in the city suffered from corruption more widespread and complex than internal affairs had uncovered, by the narrow, rotten apple approach that characterized its investigations. Put a 1 in the chat if this commission is cop sucking as well. So they're making fun of the cops for calling him just a rotten apple, but they cop sucked this entire thing. We began the 30th Precinct's investigation by targeting precincts that exhibited the conditions that signal corruption hazards: dense population, high crime areas with extensive drug dealing, patrolled by tight-knit groups of officers, tight-knit group of corrupt criminal cops. With these conditions in mind, we conducted analyses of the patterns and volume of corruption complaints lodged in internal affairs, a review of their past investigations in certain precincts, and analyses of individual officers with long histories of corruption allegations. The result of our analysis, based largely on information the police department had known about but ignored for years, focusing our attention on the 30th Precinct. In December of 1992, approximately 3 months after the commission staff was assembled, commission investigators began a series of proactive investigative tactics that had been sorely lacking from the department's internal investigation for years. Before long, our investigations identified a group of police officers who were suspected were engaged in drug corruption. Within a month, commission investigators developed a confidential informant who confirmed that a number of police officers in the 30th Precinct were accepting payoffs from drug dealers in bodegas and various other storefront locations in the neighborhood. We immediately put our informant to work in an undercover capacity, wearing a body recorder under the commission's supervision. The informant was able to engage in a number of criminal transactions with an individual we suspect of paying off police officers to protect drug operations. At this time, the commission notified the United States Attorney's Office and the Manhasset DA of the evidence. In the summer of 1993, commission investigators arrested a civilian targeted in our undercover operation who acted as an intermediary for drug dealers who were paying off corrupt cops for protection of their drug operations. After this individual's arrest, he agreed to cooperate with the commission and the United States Attorney's Office. His cooperation allowed us to develop substantial evidence of drug-related corruption against a police officer who had approximately 17 corruption allegations already filed against him at Internal Affairs, most of which involved narcotics. None of the allegations had ever been substantiated by Internal Affairs. At this stage of the investigation, the commission and the United States Attorney notified the police commissioner about our investigation. He pledged the assistance of the Internal Affairs to aid the investigation. No. You don't want Internal Affairs bringing their people into a clean investigation. You don't want that. If you're going to bring in Internal Affairs pigs from NYPD, they're going to screw up your investigation. That's what's going to happen. So in the fall and winter of 1993, the investigation developed sufficient evidence to arrest two 30th Precinct corrupt cops on charges of narcotics conspiracy. When faced with these charges, both corrupt cops agreed to cooperate with the investigation. Over the past month, these corrupt cops have worked in an undercover capacity wearing recording devices under the supervision of the Commission, the United States Attorney General's Office, and the Police Department's Internal Affairs Bureau investigation, which is crap. We discovered that the department's past belief that corrupt officers will not cooperate or turn against fellow officers was wrong. When confronted with the serious criminal charges, corrupt cops, like most other criminals, are often eager to assist prosecutors in exchange for consideration. The powerful code of silence has its limits. Indeed, largely because of this willingness to cooperate, the code name of this investigation was Operation Domino. The fruits of this investigation have thus far resulted in the arrest of 14 police officers and 10 of their drug dealer associates, one of the largest and most serious police corruption cases in a generation. The investigation is still continuing at this time of the publication of this report, and additional arrests are anticipated. Of course, the commission could not produce an estimate of the full extent of the corruption within the department with scientific precision. We recognize that our concentration on corruption-prone precincts necessarily focused our attention on the department's integrity problems. Notwithstanding this focus, what is significant about our findings is that whenever we searched for corruption, we found it. This helped lead to our unilateral conclusion that where certain narcotics and high crime conditions exist, serious corruption is likely to appear in various degrees and frequency. Our conclusions, therefore, are about the nature and extent of present-day police corruption was bore out by specific observations made on those areas we were able to examine in full detail. It is in these findings of the nature and extent of corruption that we know now. So this is the new nature of corruption and drugs. The new nature of corruption, an overview of corruption and drugs. Most serious police corruption today arises from the drug trade. Okay, let's take a break here for 1 second. So, I guess, you know, not very many people want to learn it. There's 100 people here. So only my crew, only the team DLZ is here. Other people have no desire to learn a damn thing. And the fact that I'm showing this and teaching this, the bootlickers, cop suckers, piece of shit trolls will put their head in the sand and go, oh, you mean good cops? Sure do wish that the bad cops would be taken care of, but they're the ones who are the peace officers who have the authority to. It even says in the commission how we give more power to corrupts than any other person in our society. They have the power to arrest you, the power to snatch your liberty. But then the good cops are just so darn disappointed in the bad ones. They're just afraid to use that power for justice, because it's another guy who's supposed to use the power for justice, and he's using it corruptly. But you know what? And let me just touch on this real quick on what this says exactly here. Let me break it down for you. So most serious corruption today arises from the drug trade. So if you don't really know why that line right there is so problematic in this document, well, let me help you. 3 months after this document came out, the 1994 crime bill, written by Joe Biden, signed by Bill Clinton, literally creates the temptation for corruption, because with the 1994 crime bill, you had a massive uptick of criminal asset forfeiture and civil asset forfeiture. So with the crime bill, where the cops can take the drugs and profit from them, where the cop shop, if they get a drug arrest, gets more money for that cop shop, where with criminal asset forfeiture and civil asset forfeiture, both pushed through by Joe Biden through from 1984 till 1994 is when Joe Biden pushed through criminal asset forfeiture and civil asset forfeiture. Just so you know, criminal asset forfeiture and civil asset forfeiture is based on common law from the 1500s. So if people are unaware, a lot of people talk about France. Well, let me help you out. France was the superpower of the 1500s and 1600s. France was the power. France was the most powerful country on earth. And so where criminal asset forfeiture or civil asset forfeiture comes from is back in the day, during the Columbian experience. The Columbian experience is when Christopher Columbus chartered a path from the old world to the new world to America. And that's called the Columbian experience, the Columbian journey, the Columbian connection, where we connected Europe to the new world, the United States and the North American continents. So when the ships began to then take goods back and forth between the new world, America, and the old world, France and England and Spain, those were the three most powerful countries in the 1600s and 1700s. So what happened was, using common law is also the king's law, using monarchy law, they created something called civil asset forfeiture and criminal asset forfeiture. The reason why criminal asset forfeiture and civil asset forfeiture was created was because of the Columbian experience. The monarch was still in power. The Enlightenment thinker John Locke was born in 1632. His books, Essays in Concerning Humanity and Two Treatises of Government, published in 1689 and 1690, will then set a new social contract that is based on the rule of law through empirical evidence. We don't use John Locke's social contract. We use Jean-Jacques Rousseau's social contract, who's going to come around 80 years later. So they used monarch law, king law, common law to be able to snatch your property, because if you took the Columbian experience, if you went from the old world and got on a ship and went to the new world, well, we may never see you again. So what they had to do was take the assets off the deck of your boat. So you committed a crime, or we suspect you've committed a crime. The boat takes off tomorrow. Your court date's in a week. You're not going to be here. So let's take your stuff. That's where it comes from. So, let's get to this last page. Let's get to the bottom of this page here. I just wanted to give you guys a little caveat so you understand all the horrible things Joe Biden has done. Joe Biden is the devil. He really is. He's in the bottom 6 presidents for me. In the bottom 6, you got Reagan, Obama, Bush, Trump, Joe Biden, Andrew Johnson, William Howard Taft. There's the bottom 7 for me. Reagan, Biden, Clinton, Trump. I mean, just terrible presidents. If you actually look at what they did, horrible. Reagan, only reason Obama's below Reagan is because he killed more people. He murdered more people through droning to death. But Reagan was a real piece of shit. Trump is a real piece of shit. You have no idea. I know that a lot of people follow me are big Trumpers. I get it. He's a piece of shit. The legislation that he created was to give all the tax breaks to the rich and to get rid of the inheritance tax, which is just for him. And Ronald Reagan turned his back on AIDS. He created the biggest gun control. Trump created the biggest gun control. So throughout the history of time, conservative judges and conservative presidents strip away your gun rights. The 1934 National Firearms Act, that went to the Supreme Court, and I believe the case is 1933 United States versus Miller, to uphold the constitutionality of the National Firearms Act. I may be confusing the National Firearms Act. No, that's it. It was Miller versus United States, which is going to be based on the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And I believe that's going to be in 1927 or 1928. Anyways, some years my brain messes up. You guys can see the stuff. So there's really bad leadership in our country, and Joe Biden is the worst. And then the one of the other worst guys is the guy running against him. Trump's terrible. His policies, his procedures, everything he does is terrible. Everything Joe Biden does is terrible. We have awful or terrible, horrible or horrific. That's our choices right now, because there's no third party. There's no leadership. Trump is the reason why the bump stock ban. So everything the ATF is doing right now, this big uproar with the pistol braces and the bump stocks, thank Donald Trump. 40 million people are looking at being labeled a felon because of what Donald Trump did. That's real. I wish I could wipe that away and go, no, not Trump, not my president, not Trump, not the alpha male. He didn't do that. Yes, he did. He did. Ronald Reagan was horrible. I'm just keeping it real. If you want someone to be fake to you, then go listen to people who will lie to you. And, oh, I know you're a Republican. I know you're a Trumper. Oh, I know you're a Democrat. I know you're a Biden. Let me pet you. No, they both suck. They both suck beyond the pale. They're horrible. So the most serious, so just so you know, I stopped it because right here, they're going to say it comes out of the drug trade. And then just 3 months later, Joe Biden and Bill Clinton are going to empower the drug trade with more money for cops if they get more drug arrests. So what do you think is going to happen? And then there's no more police commissions, no more. Most serious police corruption today arises from the drug trade. And not surprisingly, it is most prevalent in drug-infested precincts where opportunities for corruption most abound and the probabilities of detection have been slim. The explosion of the cocaine and crack trade in the mid-1980s fueled the opportunities for corruption by flooding certain neighborhoods with drugs and cash. Oh, let me help you guys out again here. I'm so sorry. The DEA and the CIA flooded the streets with crack and cash and guns. So this is an important fun fact here. You know, you can research the life of Rick James. I'm telling you 100% the truth here. The CIA and the DEA packed the streets with crack and guns. That's what happened. Barrels of guns would show up in the hood in South Central. You can research Rick Ross's life. What I'm telling you is true. The CIA, the FBI, the DEA were pushing crack out, and Rick Ross was the drug dealer. And they coined him to be the conduit point. The CIA would bring him the drugs. Rick Ross would distribute the drugs. The CIA would come back and take their cut. Rick could get his cut. He'd pay the drug dealers off. And that worked for a number of years with crack. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just telling you guys the whole truth. And create opportunities for cops and criminals. Wait a minute. It created the opportunities for criminal cops and criminals to profit from each other. You know, but it's not true. You're not a criminal because you're a drug dealer. That's ridiculous. It also eliminated the unwritten rule of 20 years ago that narcotics graft, that narcotics graft, is this grift? It's supposed to be grift, is dirty money and is not touched by even corrupt officers. It also eliminated the unwritten rule of 20 years ago that narcotics graft is dirty money that is not touched even by corrupt cops. With the change in attitude and opportunity came a wide spectrum of drug-related corruption, ranging from opportunistic thefts and street dealers to carefully planned group assaults on drug locations and long-term partnerships with narcotics traffickers. The seriousness of drug-related corruption must not be minimized. Many have mistakenly characterized corruption as cops merely stealing from drug dealers, or in other words, punishing those who deserve to be punished. This is wrong. Today's narcotics corruption involves not only cops stealing from dealers, but cops using their authority to permit dealers and narcotics enterprises to operate freely and flourish on the streets of our city. Even worse, today's corruption involves officers using their police powers to actively assist, facilitate, and strengthen the drug trade. Thus, the victims of corruption are not the drug dealers on the streets of East New York. Indeed, they are often corruption beneficiaries. The victims of today's corruption are thousands of law-abiding citizens who live in the high-crime, drug-ridden precincts of our cities. They are victimized not only by the crime and drug trade in their neighborhoods, but by the assistance of corrupt cops who protect drug dealers rather than provide the police protection and services the public so desperately needs. Furthermore, cops who associate with drug dealers in the open view of the public breed cynicism among other citizens. It breeds the sense of abandonment and hostility that poisons relationships between the community and corrupt and honest cops alike. And corruption victimizes the millions of law-abiding residents of New York City who depend upon the credibility and effectiveness of the police to fight the war. Fight the war against crime that threatens us all. Let me read it again. I'm going to tell you why I laugh. And corruption victimizes the millions of law-abiding residents of this city who depend upon the credibility and effectiveness of police to fight the war against crime that threatens us all. Well, Richard Nixon declared war on drugs, and now we're in a war, an unwinnable war. Yeah. Against who? Against people. They started a war against the American populace. The American populace wants to do drugs. It's not a carafe. That's not a carafe. That's a drug. But we couldn't even smoke marijuana until the government got their cut of our money. They started a war on drugs against us. I mean, put a 1 in the chat if you take a prescription pill. Put a 1 in the chat if you smoke pot. Put a 1 in the chat if you do cocaine. Put a 1 in the chat if you do heroin. Put a 1 in the chat if you do methadone. Put a 1 in the chat if you do meth. Put a 1 in the chat if you take Adderall. Put a 1 in the chat if you drink alcohol. Every person here, every one of you. Put a 1 in the chat if you drink caffeine. Every one of us. And they created agencies to arrest us, not to help us, to charge us with crimes. They're going to control the chemical. And look at our streets today. They're going through people's cars, going through stuff. Let me see. There's some drugs in here somewhere. Let me tear this thing apart. I'll find some drugs in there. Every person in America is doing some kind of drug. I smoke pot now and then. I just don't understand. They created a war and then created a bunch of people who would benefit and profit from the war if they lied, cheat, stealed, raped, and killed. And that's what the cops do. This is the reason I don't like cops. This is it. This describes cops today in amazing detail. So I think for today, there is another new feature of narcotics-related corruption that the commission observed. Unlike 20 years ago, today's corruption does not reach high into the chain of command. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Just lies. These are lies. These are absolute lies. They're saying that the commanders are not involved. It is such a lie. It is such a bullshit lie. You see down there? It says, unlike 20 years ago, today's corruption does not reach into high chains of command. While supervisors engaged in corruption, most corruption was carried out by uniformed patrol officers surrounded daily by drug trafficking, operating the streets, apartments, storefronts of their precincts. So that's an absolute fucking bullshit lie. There was just recently a booster. I think she worked for the Fraternal Order of Police. She worked for the police department, and she was a global drug dealer, and she was brass. What are they talking about? All right. So it looks like we're going to end today on page 15. Looks like we're getting to 7 or 8 pages a day. And some of these pages will go a little faster when we start to get into, let me show you guys something. So when we start to get into this down here, where we start to get into cops committing theft from street dealers, from radio runs, from warrantless searches and seizures, from legitimate raids and searches, from cops stopping and drug couriers, from off-duty robberies, cops robbing people when they're off-duty, cops protecting and assisting narcotics traffickers, cops as drug dealers and users, police perjury and falsifications, police violence and brutality, cops committing theft from street dealers and shakedowns. I'm going to show you guys some charts here and some conversations that the coppers had back and forth. Wait till you read the conversations. It's pretty crazy to see the cop who has been given immunity. Let me just find one here. And you guys will be able to see what I know. And then you'll be like, oh, that's why he doesn't like cops. That's why okay, here it is. Question. You just said that there was a supervisor or a lieutenant who joked about police falsifications in your presence. Hemberry. That's correct, sir. Scenarios were you going to say that you observed what appeared to be drug transactions? You observed a bulge in the defendant's waistband, or you were informed by a male black, unidentified at this time, that at that location were drug sales? So in other words, what the lieutenant was telling you is, here's your choice of false predicates for these arrests. Yes, that's correct. Pick which one you're going to use. So the lieutenant, they just said a second ago that it didn't go up into the brass. They just said in the commission that it didn't go up into the brass, into the higher ranking officers, only those uniform officers who were surrounded by the drug trade. So in other words, the lieutenant is telling you, here's your choice of false predicates for these arrests. Well, you know, I don't care if it's the drug trade or not. If you're arresting me on a false predicate, then I'm still going to jail. And the guy who's the lieutenant in charge is giving you options of how to arrest me properly. Which lie should you use? You know, and look, if you guys are offended by Bill Clinton being a scumbag, Donald Trump being a scumbag, Joe Biden being a scumbag, Hillary Clinton being a scumbag, Ronald Reagan being a scumbag, George Bush being a scumbag, Richard Nixon being a scumbag, George H. Bush being a scumbag, then I'm going to offend you all the time because I hate all of them. I'm sorry. They're all scum. Every president since Jimmy Carter forward has only worked for themselves, does not care about you or I, has cheated us time and time and time again. And you can go back to Nixon and Ford, who's going to pardon Nixon after he steps down for being a criminal. There's no good presidents. We have had zero good leadership. And if you don't like hearing it, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to lie. I'll do a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to sit here and lie to thousands of people. I'm not going to attack cops. I'm not going to fight anybody. You know, I'm going to try to get out of that. But, I mean, you're reading it. You're seeing it. And then if you guys want to read this police commission without having to if you guys want to read this police commission, I'm going to show you something here. So all you do is you go to right here. There it is. So let me see what you guys can see. So I'll make it big for you. Okay, so all you do is you go to Delete Lawz if you want to read this commission, and then you see where it says downloads right here. You click on the downloads button, and then here's all the commissions. There's the LaGuardia report. There's the NAP commission, which you haven't read that. That's just as good as the no, it's not as good, but it's good. And so then I'm going to add this to my cart, and then I'm going to get one of those, and then now I have to go to proceed to checkout, even though it's all zeros. I proceed to checkout, and it's going to ask me for my information, and I'm going to put it in here, and I put deletelawz@gmail.com. Cool. Now there's a couple more steps here, so I don't want you to miss them. There's my information. I put everything in. It costs you nothing. I place the order. Now, once the order is placed for the Mollen Commission, now all of these are not in my downloads yet. Now I need to click on this case report right here, or the NAP, or the racist roots of gun control, the LaGuardia report, the racist origins of gun control. And now I want to, what's missing from here? I'm missing something. Anyway, I click on this right here, and then that goes to my downloads. I click save, and now I've got the Mollen, and it's right there. I guess you can't see that though. So that's how that works. So if you want to get the Mollen for free, there it is. It's available 100% for free. I don't sell the Mollen Commission. Oh, is that what it is? So these are free downloads. The download for the trifold is currently $5.99. If you don't have $5.99, just hit me up. I'll give it to you for free. And I want you to have the trifold in your car. I really do. So I want you to have some level of protection from these filthy pigs. I really do. Yeah. So I'll say something positive about Trump. Trump did not take us into wars, more wars. I'm anti-war all the way. Trump did not take us into more wars. Let me say something good about Biden. He's one of God's children. Joe Biden is one of God's. Maybe not. Might be the spawn of Satan. Something good about Joe Biden. Wants to strip us of our gun rights, trying to call long-range rifles assault weapons, trying to ban high-capacity magazines, empowered the ATF to change the rules of guns to try to strip away our Second Amendment. The ATF is working under the guidance of Joe Biden, where they've now tried to ban pistol braces, which the Supreme Court's going to strike that down. Then we have to allow the court to lead us, not through our legislative body, which is supposed to be the most powerful branch of all government. And this was determined by James Madison and Thomas Jefferson. As you guys know, James Madison wrote the bulk of the Constitution, and Thomas Jefferson is going to write the Declaration of Independence. They did two different things. Someone tried to fact check me and say, he just said that James Madison wrote the Constitution. He did. Matter of fact, he wrote the Constitution after the First Continental Congress, and then they went back to try to amend the Articles of Confederation, but the Articles of Confederation were unmendable. They couldn't. They needed a new document. And so the Virginia contingency, which was led by James Madison, was like, hey, we have a plan, and that plan James Madison had written was what we know as today as the U.S. Constitution. So this is, if you just sit here and talk to me and we just sit and blab, I just have frickin', and I don't know how, and I don't know why. I did not want to be in this position. I didn't want to do this, but somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it. I can't think of anything good to say about Biden. I'm really sorry for people who support him. I don't. I hope he has a stroke. That's being honest. Just like a few months ago, I told people how I felt about them. That's how I feel. Michael Poe, Denti Jen, Chosen, Miro Man. What is going on? M is in here. Who else we got? I love Yahweh. Delete Lawz Clips. What's up, Colin? How you doing over there? Delete Lawz Clips. You guys make sure you subscribe to Delete Lawz Clips. Colin is over there doing the edits and running that channel. He's doing the best he can. But just so you guys know, Delete Lawz Clips so far, the channel's made $75. So, you know, we could use your subscribers over there and some likes and some comments and let some videos play over there too. Viking Robot, good to see you. Oh, Mason, Fred, what's going on? M, Joy, what is going on? Yeah, so, yeah, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. This damn retainer is too tight because you guys know these teeth are fake. And so I got a flipper. I can pull this thing in and out. And this flipper is just too tight in these teeth. It hurts. It hurts, huh? So David asked me if so Chris Ann Hall, he asked me about Chris Ann Hall. I actually just put a comment on her Instagram and I unfollowed her. When you call for the arresting of protesters, you and I are different. People, as long as they're not destroying property, should be able to protest for as long as they want. And so Chris Ann Hall, she's on the right. And everybody on the right's like, more cops. And so I'm so far pushed away. You know, Turning Point USA, I went to Turning Point USA 2 years ago in December, a year and a half ago, I guess. And since I went to Turning Point USA, since I left there, Turning Point USA is the biggest bunch of cop suckers. It's terrible. And then not all of them, but there's a lot of people within Turning Point USA, which if you guys don't know, I'm pretty freaking conservative. I'm pretty hard on the right in some areas. And then I'm pretty liberal on the left, you know, so pretty liberal, classic liberal. I'm not crazy. I fully support trans people 100%. I do not support trans women in women's sports, but I fully support people who are trans. You want to be trans? I got your back. My pronouns are he, him. People on the right are like, why do you got your pronouns? Because I'm holding space for people who need pronouns. I disagree with calling a biological woman a man. I disagree with it. I don't make the rules of that. So I'm just, you know, I'm just being honest. I want to be honest with you guys. I don't want you guys to follow me and subscribe to me and be a member of my channel if you don't really know who I am and my belief system, because I'm unwavering in my principles and I will not in any way, shape, or form. I was talking to those cops yesterday, the video I was showing you earlier, and the cop, they're so afraid that when I walk up with my cameras, I finally said to the cop, what am I going to do? Take my cameras and throw them at you as you got a gun and a stick and a taser and a car? I said, I'm never going to attack you cops, but I am going to record you and you can arrest me and I'll go with you and then I'll sue you again. And then I'll sue you again. And then I'll sue you again. And that's what I'll do. So I just want to be clear with people, man. I don't want to lie to people, you know, and look, I'm not any kind of activist in any other form other than changing this bullshit system. You know, there's going to be some fights in the trans thing going on for sure. And a lot of us are like, hey, I don't want trans women in women's sports. That's my only hang up. I don't agree with the pronoun thing, but there's nothing I can do about it. You know, I got people who I know and love who are trans. I lived in West Hollywood for 20 years. My hairdresser for 7 years was trans. My stylist for 10 years was trans. I used to have a stylist. I used to have a stylist that when I would go to her shop, her is actually biologically born male, but when I went to her shop, she would throw all these pants at me and shirts at me and this at me, and she was sweet as apple pie. So, and that's Cosmos down on Melrose. If you guys ever want to get really Hollywooded out, go to Cosmos down on Melrose. If you go to Hollywood for a weekend and you're going to like an event, a Dan Bilzerian party or something, and you want to get all duded up, go to Cosmos down on Melrose. Now, Cosmos is trans. So, but he's been my friend for 10 years. I'm not into offending her. I'm not into offending that person. Yeah, I don't want to offend anybody, you know. I want to offend the system. I want to offend and break this system. That's what I want to do. So, all right. Kind of went all over the place. Oh yeah, Mike. Mike's birthday, huh? Is it your birthday, Mike? I hope it's really your birthday and you're not some horrible troll. But Mike Oxmall said, bro, you make my day. Can you say hello for me? It's my birthday. You know, bro, you know, happy birthday if it's really your birthday. You know, I just want to be clear with the people who are on this page, because YouTube is just, I mean, 100 people in here. You know what I mean? Like, if the notifications went out to all the subscribers on the channel, there would be 1,000 people in here, but they don't send out the notifications. You guys actually look for the channel, and so that's why I'm super grateful. Thank you. If you guys haven't joined a membership, join the memberships. I think I only charge $3. I don't even charge it, and YouTube takes half of it, so that's $1.50. And then hit me up for shirts. I got to get I'm an hour and 20 minutes. God, hit me up for shirts. I got women's shirts in. I'm going to get all the measurements and get them up online because I can't do it any other way, so I'll just do it. All right. Oh, allowed. You never got a notification? Happy birthday, buddy. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. Oh, yeah, I'm with you there all the way. S50114 plus 81. 50,014 plus 81, whatever that is. I'm with you all the way. Open carry all the way. 100%. I'm with you to get rid of to me, in my mind, and here's how conservative I am. You take the word gun and you put the word law and you put them together, and they should be like two north magnets. It should just be, I keep trying to put the words gun and law together, and it just pushes apart. OTVO. Yeah. So if you want a shirt, email me at deletelawz@gmail.com. And until I get them up on my website and I have them all counted, because now I can put the exact count on there, I will just send them out through PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. And I got the sheet right here. If you want a shirt, I'll send it to you today. And I've got 18 of these. So the first 18 people, I'll ship your shirt today. I got to get the flock out of here. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Bruce, Mikey, David, all you guys, DLZ Clips, Butch the Original, Cope Dog and Dog. I haven't seen you, Copey. Where you at, Cope? Where's Cope Dog? Gary, it's always good to see you. Thanks for your great emails. Nolan, Mason, good to see you. Mike, good to see you. Michael Poe, nice to see you. I'll get the flock out of here. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later, Gators.